Hi guys, this is the Black Ops 6 Zombies Terminus Easter egg ending explained. And there is a lot of explaining to do because it has more implications than most of the end cutscenes that we've seen in the last 5 years. So to kick off here, we're going to start just before the boss fight. And I need to introduce you to this new character. I'm going to play the footage as I go so I can reference certain things from the game because it's going to make it a lot easier for you to understand.
Peck! You're an idiot! And these thugs of yours are less than idiots.
So why is Peck there? And who's this woman, Dr. Modi? Well, back during Cold War Zombies, Peck was working for the bad guys, Omega, but then he basically fled Omega and became a rogue agent on the side of the good guys, so to speak. And between the end of Cold War and now, there's been a 5-year gap, and in that time, Peck has been looking for his inversion warheads. These are warheads that he used to be researching when he was a scientist working with Omega, and they contain a bunch of Etherium, which is the new version of 115. Modi, who we're seeing here, is a new character introduced in Black Ops 6 who leads the development and scientific research at Terminus Island. And there are a few things that we know about her, which I'll share as we go through the video, but the first thing to be aware of is that she is a nasty piece of work. She is absolutely horrible. She doesn't care about ethics whatsoever. All she cares about is getting her job done. So let's keep watching here and we'll see how she's really caught in the grip of the obsession she has with her work.
None of you can begin to appreciate the things I accomplished here.
So she really cares about her work. And then, yeah. So let's pause it there just for a moment. You can actually see what appears to be Etherium warheads attached to the sides of the submarine. These have been lost for 5 years. This is exactly what Peck is looking for. So he's naturally going to be really upset that they seem to be being eaten by a giant sea monster. And if we keep this playing here...
No! Our warheads! God damn it!
There you go.
My God. Was that patient 13?
So patient 13 was a patient that was one of the many experiments that was taking place at Terminus Island. And there's actually a separate program, which is the Amalgam program, which we're going to talk about in a minute as well, because it's relevant to one of the other characters that's in our new core crew now.
Something's happening. Aesthetic energy.
So it's consumed the inversion missiles, and it's getting a whole lot bigger and a whole lot more angry. I think this cutscene looks so cool, man. I think Treyarch just cooked here. Like, come on. It's so sick. So straight away, once this ends, there you go.
Here, your so-called inversion warheads have certainly inverted patient 13.
So that's Strauss just confirming that that's exactly what's happened to this monster.
Oh no, this is not my fault. Hey, boots on the ground, we're all rooting for you.
There you go. So now we can skip pretty much to the end of the fight. There's not too much relevant dialogue in between here. This is what the end of the fight looks like. So sick, man. There we go. Complete. Did it with a blue unpacked weapon. So it's dead. It explodes. And the inversion missiles are gone? Maybe?
All good things come to an end. Fortunately, so do the bad ones.
Battle not with monsters lest ye become one.
Today must have been very difficult for you.
So there's something which has Samantha's voice, and it seems to be called SAM. What the hell's going on there? Well, underneath my camera here, if I move this out of the way, you can see in the corner of the screen, it says Sam. That little blue dot now is Samantha Maxis, sort of. It's an AI trained on Samantha, so it's got her mannerisms, it's got her voice, etc. But it isn't actually Sam. Like, human Sam still does exist. It's just that this version of Sam is essentially an AI clone of her, if you will. The SAM stands for Synaptic Algorithm Module. So it's not even just a name like Samantha Alice Maxis or something. It's literally just an acronym. Let's keep it going here.
Humiliating even.
So she's still taunting Peck.
But at least we eliminated that monster and Modi. Gather in the guard station. I have a proposal that I believe may interest you.
So the guard station is the spawn area of the map, and that previously in the Easter egg is where Peck and Strauss have been basically calling the shots. And the reason that they're there is that in the intro cutscene to Terminus, we see Peck and this new character called Maya break Requiem out of the cells that they've been being held in since the end of Black Ops Cold War. So I said that Peck was missing for those 5 years. Meanwhile, the Requiem agents were all being held in cells inside Terminus Island. And so they escape. Strauss goes to help you basically act as a sort of intercom and a heads up for what's going on in the wider world while you play. And Peck does the same thing, while Carver, Weaver, and Gray all run around the map alongside Maya, solving the main quest. So they're going back to the guard station here. Get a trophy or an achievement when you do it for the first time. So this on the left is Strauss. He's pretty damn old at this point because he was already an old man in Cold War, and it's 5 years later now. This is Peck over here. That's Carver, that's Weaver, and behind them is Maya, I believe, or maybe that's Gray, let's see. Oh, that's Gray, and that's Maya with the red sort of jacket.
Whatever your plan is for bringing back Maxis, it better be good.
It is. I have scraped all Project Janus files.
So she has scraped Project Janus files. What the hell's Project Janus? Well, in the Black Ops Cold War Zombies story, we learned that Richtofen is the director of Project Janus, and it's a mysterious organization that seems to have some kind of goal that seems to really align with what Richtofen's goal is, but we don't fully understand exactly what it is. But what we do know is that they constructed the facility at Liberty Falls, and they also constructed Terminus Island, or at least they built on what had already been constructed there, because the history of that island goes back hundreds of years.
Director's eyes only.
So that's Richtofen. There you go.
Ancient relic.
So this is one of the biggest reveals of the zombie storyline that we've seen ever, maybe. It's mind-blowing that they are doing this, and I'm just going to let it play here, but you can actually get a little bit of a sort of sneak preview of it if you really zoom in and take a look at what these folders say, but I'll let the cutscene do the talking.
Called the Sentinel Artifact. He believes it has the ability to manipulate a form of protomatter called Prima Materia.
The fact that me and Strauss are doing the same shaking of the head movement right now is very much intentional from the developers. They know for a fact that the zombies community is going to find this really weird, and so having a character in the cutscene who can be the skeptic, who can voice the discomfort that the player is feeling, is actually really important, and that's the role that Strauss takes on here. You can see he doesn't look happy about this in the slightest, and the fact that Prima Materia is being mentioned is crazy. So let's pause for a sec. Where did Prima Materia come from? Well, in the Black Ops 4 storyline, we had the Chaos story introduced for the first time as a completely new zombie story, separate to the Ether story, the traditional normal zombie story that we had with characters like Richtofen and Nikolai and Takio and Dempsey. And at the time, dozens and dozens of times in interviews, I would say to Jason Blundell, the creative director of Zombies at Treyarch, or sometimes the studio head of Treyarch, and I would say to him, Jason, is the Chaos story part of the Ether story? Are those things connected? And he would say 100%, like swear on my mum's life, not connected. And he also would specify they would never be connected. And so the fact that now they're connected is mind-blowing, but they're connected in a really interesting way. So if we just scrub back here a tiny bit, this thing, right, is the Sentinel Artifact. This is a really important item in Black Ops 4 Zombies, but there's actually multiple types of Sentinel Artifact, and they all have specific purposes. Sam's mentioned that Richtofen thinks the Sentinel Artifact has the ability to manipulate a form of protomatter called Prima Materia. The idea in Black Ops 4 was that Prima Materia was the Chaos Stories version of 115. It was an incredibly powerful resource that was mined from the Earth, and that was extremely corrupting to all those that came in contact with it. And the high-level idea here is that this Sentinel Artifact was used by this shadowy organization to try and keep the growing collection of Prima Materia that had been mined and stored as a resource, and keep that from totally corrupting all of humanity and leading to the destruction of the planet. And honestly, it sounds pretty similar to 115 when you frame it that way, right? 115 was the cause of the Great War, of so much corruption, of the Apothicons themselves. And so there were a lot of parallels with with that story, but like I said, at the time, they said it was separate, so we were all like, okay, you're just telling a similar story, fair enough. So what exactly was the deal with the artifacts themselves? Well, basically the idea is, in the intro cutscene to 9, you see the Sentinel artifact create a trial, and the trials would create a sort of bubble environment in which whoever was transported into the trial would have to prove their worthiness, and if they proved themselves worthy, they would get some rewards from the artifact, such as an insight into the knowledge and understanding of the artifact's creators, and they'd also be deemed worthy of the manipulation of this Prima Materia, right? But inside the trial, it wasn't just a cakewalk to get through, but instead, you had really high stakes on the line, because if you died during the trial, you actually died, that was that, and everyone outside of your sort of sphere of protection when starting the trial would become a zombie. And so that was the Black Ops 4 way to kind of explain why we were getting zombie outbreaks. It wasn't just like, oh, an ethereal rift has opened in Morasko, Poland, like in D Machine, but instead it was someone has activated a trial and caused this area to become ensconced in this trial energy. So let's keep it playing here. And I mean, just look at Carver and look at Strauss looking at each other like, this is stupid, right? That's many of the zombies community right now, and let's see how that plays out.
Matter called Prima Materia.
You can't be serious.
You can't be serious. That's literally his first words.
The term comes straight from medieval alchemy. Don't ask me to believe such horseshit. I am a man of science.
That's us right now, guys. That's us. It's always so funny to me when devs do this and they sort of very gently break the fourth wall, not in a way that is actually breaking it, but more so kind of giving you a peek, kind of just holding a mirror up to the audience and saying, is this you right now? And can we use other characters in a scene to bring you around to a different point of view? I think it's so cool. It's such a wonderful part of games specifically as a medium, but I'm getting off topic here. I could talk about this in video essays for days.
As is Director Richtofen, Dr. Strauss.
So that's Treyarch saying, sure, Strauss, sure, zombies community that likes Ether, you're welcome to like Ether, but vice versa, there are other people that like the new stuff, right? There are other people that believe the new stuff. There are other people that focus on the new lore, and that's what Richtofen is now doing, and so maybe Strauss should kind of come around.
The artifact is believed to be somewhere in the Principality of Avalon.
So what the hell's Avalon? Well, this is a principality in the Mediterranean, and there's actually several maps in multiplayer in Black Ops 6 that are set in that area. I think also it's going to become a Warzone map in the future, but we'll come back to this point.
He hired a criminal organization, the French Syndicate, to find it.
So this is interesting. This French Syndicate is not something that we've really heard that much about before.
They are interrogating a man called Gabriel Kraft.
And this is very weird, because Gabriel Kraft was already a fairly old man during Vanguard zombies all the way back during the Second World War, and now 45 or 46 years later, he's being interrogated somehow, like he's survived. It's bizarre, but we'll talk about that in a second. So he's being interrogated by the French Syndicate. What else can Sam tell us about this?
Your former associate, Sergey Renov, now employed by the Syndicate, abducted him on...
So Ravanov is working for the French Syndicate, and we actually did know that Ravanov had a period where he worked for the mob, and the mob in this case is turning out to be the French Syndicate, and so it's no surprise really that he's involved here. But what she's about to say, and am I saying she, her for an AI here? I guess I am. So what she's about to say is...
the orders of his boss, Franco.
Ravanov is working for Franco specifically, who's also this new mysterious character who's going to become really important.
I'm in.
Enjoy your revenge, young lady.
This, metaphorically, in my view, is Strauss basically being like, okay, you Zoomer, have fun with your newfangled zombie storyline. I'm not going to give it a chance. I'm out. I'm done.
I'm not chasing after an old wives' tale.
Oscar, we've all seen things that seemed impossible. And Richtofen is no fool. If he and Sam believe that this artifact can actually bring her back, we have to try.
So this is Gray trying to convince both Strauss and the player in this moment to buy into this, despite the fact that it feels so uncomfortable.
We can't give up on her. She never gave up on us.
We can't give up on Treyarch? Really? And this is them saying that Treyarch never gave up on us, and they're trying here.
She's right. Let's see for ourselves if this Sentinel thing is the real deal.
Agreed. I still want to know where
that bastard Richtofen is hiding.
So obviously, Weaver and Carver are angry, right? Gray as well, super angry that they've been incarcerated for all these years. And so they still want revenge on Richtofen, but they recognize that Franco, who we have the full name for here, Francois Franco Moreau, he is a sort of imminent focus because of the fact that they've got so much new intel on him, and the director might be a little harder to chase down. And so what Weaver is saying is he still wants to know where Richtofen is at, but ultimately, if they're going to follow a lead on Franco in the meantime, that seems fair. And so in the next Black Ops 6 Zombies map, we'll probably be chasing down Franco rather than just having a head-on clash with Weaver and Richtofen.
Unknown. He may be en route to Avalon to collect the artifact.
So this suggests that the Sentinel artifact might actually be in Avalon now, which is crazy. And so we might see the Sentinel artifact as part of the Easter egg in a DLC 1, which is coming in Season 1 of this game.
Then let's find it before he does.
Heads up, people. Helo's ready. But the storm's getting worse.
So Raptor 1 is the exfil pilot from Cold War. He was also locked up with them, but when they busted out of the cells, he focused on finding and securing a chopper to get them off the island.
We gotta go, now!
And that's the Samantha AI just hanging out there looking like Hal. So the question really, I suppose, is how the hell is this happening? How the hell is suddenly the Prima Materia chaos story stuff relevant in this universe? And it's quite simply that when Treyarch ended the Ether story and turned it into the Dark Ether, they rewrote the rules of what was and wasn't possible with 115 and with all of the previous lore. In many ways, it was a reboot. And so what they did is they rebooted Ether, but they also have rebooted the chaos story, and they've merged them now into one thing. This means that the rules of the chaos storyline from before don't necessarily apply, but they should be thought of as interesting things we can make inferences from. So I've talked today about how the Sentinel artifact works. That might actually work slightly differently now that we're in the Dark Ether story as opposed to just the old chaos story. Or it might be the exact same, and chaos might actually have really functional overlap with everything that we're seeing in this new Dark Ether universe. It kind of remains to be seen because we're still at the beginnings of finding out about this, but it's actually really exciting and something that I'll be digging into in a lot more detail in my upcoming videos, so you should make sure to subscribe. But what you might be wondering right now is, that's all well and good, but like, why did I show you this Modi person in the first place? Like, what's the deal with her? Why should I care about all this stuff? And there's also this new character called Maya, right? Like, can we learn a little bit more about her? Well, Maya was a smuggler who worked with her brother for her entire childhood, and as such has learned the sort of tricks of the trade in terms of espionage and things along those lines. But at one point, they were hired to traffic refugees in this Philippine Sea area, and the contract was going to be paid out by the French Syndicate. The problem was that the refugees they were tracking started going missing, and what was really happening is that the French Syndicate was sending the refugees to Terminus Island and selling them to Dr. Modi. So this woman, Modi, was engaging in human trafficking to get test subjects who she could test she could test Ethereum on, and then Maya here started investigating that with her brother, and when her brother really leaned into that investigation to try and figure out where these refugees were going, he also disappeared. And what Maya finds out during this Easter egg is that this whole bio chamber area, the biolab, is centered on Nathan, that's her brother, being turned into an amalgam, and so they very sadly have to put Nathan down to put him out of his misery. But there's a whole load of other layers to the story of Nathan, and also the other scientists working at the facility. And if you want to know exactly what was going on with all of them and why the amalgam program was created in the first place, and also what Richtofen has to do with all of that stuff and why he's built Terminus Island, then there's a video on screen right now which you can click, and it's the full story of Terminus explained. So click through and I'll see you there.